Welcome back. For many people, the beginning of winter means retreat from their home workshops. Well, today my guest, Glenn Henderson, is going to show us how to fight the cold with a safe way to heat your dusty environment of your workshop. Glenn, thanks for coming to the show today.
Thanks for having me.
The big thing that everyone, it scares me when I hear people talking about they want to put wood-burning stoves in because they have all this extra pieces of wood left over, or they want to put little bits of electric baseboard heating and things like that. I went through that process for years, and then I discovered radiant heat. And you, with your radiant heat unit, what is the advantage of radiant heat?
Well, you're right about safety, John. Whether you're in a large commercial concern or a small domestic workshop, safety in a woodworking shop is a prime concern. The radiant tube heaters like this lend themselves very well to that kind of environment. Combustion takes place inside the radiant tube, heating up the steel.
Now, can you sort of point that out to me when you're saying it takes place? This box that we have at the end there, that's the furnace, basically.
Yeah, that's rated the same type of controls that you have in any typical gas furnace. And the flame is fired down the radiant tube.
Right.
The steel heats up, creates infrared energy, and that's directed to the floor by the reflectors above. So your combustion is inside the tube. There's no open flame in the workplace whatsoever. You're ducting combustion air from outside, from the ventilated attic or from an outside wall,
so it's not
into the collar that's on the blower.
So it's not taking any dust out of the shop. So no matter what, you're always drawing fresh air in.
You're always drawing fresh air in. Right.
And again, that's the safety issue, because with fine dust particles, they can ignite and just sort of blow up type of effect because of that.
That's right.
And that's a really good point to make on this. Now, with that coming through, is this all open? Is the pipe just a straight pipe going all the way through, or is there any kind of resistance as to the heat coming around, or is it just sort of flare right around?
Well, it depends on the size of the heater. This particular model we make for the residential garage market. 40,000 BTUs. And in a heater like this, typically you've got about a 7 or 8 foot flame down the tube. And as the exhaust gases reach the tail end of the heater, there's a system of baffles inside the tube to take the residual heat out of the flame, put some back pressure on the burner prior to exhaust out through the wall. And like most high efficiency products today, it vents just through the wall. It doesn't have to go into a chimney or up through the roof. And this is what you see on the outside of the building.
Now, this goes on the outside of, say, your basically shoots it down outside of the side of the building.
That's right. You run through the wall with your vent, and this is typically what you see on the outside of the building.
Now, if you want to go through the roof,
you can certainly do that if you like.
Do that as well. Now, this is a B-vent application?
Generally through a roof. It depends on the local codes, but generally it's a type B gas vent through a roof.
Now, can you install this yourself, the whole unit?
Certainly the home hobbyist can do the better part of it himself. It suspends on chain from the ceiling. The stand that we have here today is just so we can move it in and out quickly.
Okay.
But it hangs on chain from this type of hanger.
Okay.
And most hobbyists can suspend it themselves and do the electrical. It's just a 110 plug-in. But of course the gas is something that you want to have a licensed, qualified professional do for you.
Now, radiant heating, does it only come in natural gas, or does it come
natural gas or propane?
Okay.
A lot of people say I don't have propane, but propane will come to you. Most of the propane suppliers in Canada will be more than happy to put a tank outside your garage and run a gas line for you for a fairly nominal fee.
So people should make aware when they're purchasing a radiant heater, whether it is for gas or propane. Cost-wise, running-wise?
It's very efficient. Of course, when we're talking about different climates across Canada and different types of construction, it's hard to...
Installation factors.
Right. Typically, in this southern Ontario climate, most users in natural gas say that they don't spend any more than about $100 a year to heat.
Wow.
That's leaving heat on all the time.
Yeah.
It's a very, very efficient way.
So, radiant heat, again, it doesn't heat the air, it heats mass, is basically the theory?
Yeah, if you remember back in grade school when we learned our science of how the sun heats the earth, the sun emits infrared energy, it travels through space, when it strikes the ground it becomes heat. The hot steel emits infrared energy. That's directed down to the floor, and really the heat is actually created at the floor. So if you're leaving the heat on in your workshop all the time, if you have the thermostat set about 55 or 60 degrees, typically the surface temperature of the floor is going to be warmer than that by 5 or 10 degrees.
So cement floors are always the worst. They always hold the cold. My feet get cold when you stand on things like that. It would really warm up the floor.
Right.
So it would eliminate having to put a subfloor down, putting plywood, putting all that insulation in there as well, and you're saving it on that cost.
Yeah.
Expensive unit, what are we looking ballpark for
It
paying for a unit?
retails across the country for $900 to $1,000. So it's not expensive by any means.
Virtually maintenance-free?
Virtually maintenance-free. And once you have the heater, I mean, it's because it's radiant heat and there's no fans or ductwork, you don't have to have ductwork made, you don't have to put in fans, there's no filters. You bought the heater other than a bit of vent, that's all you have to buy.
Correct. Now, thermostat, very important.
Mm-hmm.
I see that there's a loop wire on there that basically can just turn it on and run it in full operation. Thermostat, where do we locate thermostat?
Generally out of the direct ray of the heater, on an outside wall where it's going to be activated if a door opens or an overhead door in the garage opens.
Is there a certain height that we want for a radiant heater? Do we go like a standard, maybe 15 inches or so off the ground?
About 5'6" off the floor. And one important thing to say about the heater as well is you do require at least an 8-foot ceiling to put this type of heater in. Higher is better, but a minimum of an 8-foot ceiling. The code requires 7 feet between the floor and the bottom of the heater. And with our heater here, you only need 4-inch clearance above the heater to a combustible ceiling.
Great,
so that adds up to 8 feet.
Super. We're going to go to tips and jigs coming up next, and we'll return to In the Workshop. Yeah.